Chapter 35. The bodies of Sheila and Chickentown, the two traitor foxes, lay limp in the ditch that ran alongside the road. The rats of Clinty's horde had executed them with spears and tossed them there. Sheila lay still, her once bright, cunning eyes glazed over in death. But gradually Chickentown began to twitch and groan. He was still alive. The fox's entire body was afire with pain. Twice they had stabbed him, once in the back leg and again right through the loose skin and fur of the scruff of his neck. Chickentown had screamed and fallen into the ditch, helped by the feet of the rat executioners. He had immediately blacked out. Sheila's carcass landed on top of her son's body in the shallow, muddy water. The rats were satisfied that both foxes were dead, and if they were not, well, who was going to climb down through all those stinging nettles into the slippery ooze to find out? They hurled clods of earth at the prone forms in the ditch and stood watching them for a time. When flies began to gather on the foxes, the rodents lost interest and wandered off. Chickentown regained his senses. He lay quite still with Sheila's body draped across him. When he was satisfied that the coast was clear, he struggled painfully clear of the grisly carcass that had once been his mother. Old fool, she would never have been in this mess if she had let a much younger and smarter fox handle things. When the total lack of sorrow for his deceased parent, Chickentown began figuring out his next move. He would have to lie low in the stinking ditch until darkness fell. Even though he was severely hurt, the irony of the situation caused the young fox a silent snigger. If he was not his mother had outwitted Clooney, now he would be free with the revised plans of the attack upon Redwall Abbey. Surely that would be worth something. As soon as it was dark, Chickentown made his move. He was only too glad to do so. Flies, wasps, worms, and of all manners of crawlies had been thoroughly investigating him all afternoon. Slowly and carefully he rolled about in the thick mud until it formed a poultice, cooling the wounds in his legs and neck, preventing further blood loss. Under the cover of the night he wobbled unsteadily on his feet, limping away up on the ditch bed towards Redwall. The going was painfully slow, but Chickentown consoled himself on the long journey by boasting his own ego. Maybe a silly bunch of rats could put one over old Sheila. She was old and lost all of her Julie. Not like me. They hadn't reckoned with a smart, intelligent young fox like I am. I'll show them. Revenge will be mine. Then they'll see what it's like to be up against an expert of espionage. Hours later, within the sight of the Abbey walls, Chickentown discovered a slope that was not too steep and started to pull himself out of the ditch. He gasped and cried out in agony as he climbed. Using some creepers and an overhanging bush, the fox finally made it to the road. Completely exhausted, he lay in the dust. How long he had been dragging his wounded body along the ditch bed, he could not tell. In his present weakened condition, he could not go a step farther, but fell into a state of halfway between unconsciousness and sleep. Silent Sam was Cornflower's bodyguard in her nightly round of the ramparts. He marched solemnly by her side as she gave out mugs of hot soup to the grateful sentries that watched through the night hours. Ambrose Spike watched hungrily as she poured him a steaming mug of delicious soup. The hedgehog thanked her profusely, hoping that there might be seconds after others had been served. What a thoughtful little body you are, Cornflower. I always said there's nothing like a good homemade vegetable soup to keep alive in me old spines. It's a fair night, but mark you, it gets a bit chilly twixt dark and dawn, my dear. When the hedgehog and mouse went chattering, Silent Sam had never stood still for a second. He trotted down on the parapet, always sucking his paw, leaping from stone to stone, fighting off imaginary foes with his tiny dagger. At first, Cornflower thought he was play-acting as usual. The baby squirrel stood on top of the gatehouse threshold, pointing down the road with his knife. He beckoned Cornflower and Ambrose with his well-sucked paw to come and see. The young field mouse wagged her ladle. "Put that dagger away and stop your climbing, you little scamp." Silent Sam remained as he will, like a well-trained pointer dog. "Perhaps he's trying to tell us something, miss," grunted Ambrose. He waddled over to the parapet and looked down to where Sam was pointed. "Well, bless me soul, Miss Cornflower, do I believe that our little soldier here spotted an object? That's a creature laying down there, but I'm blowed if it's a fish or a fowl. There's so much mud and dust splattered on it," whispered the hedgehog. "You stay put, missy. I'll go and fetch help." Cornflower and Silent Sam stood looking down on the carpet. Ambrose, aided by Jess Squirrel and Formal, ventured out into the road to investigate. As their backs stood a dozen stout mice guarding the gatehouse door under the command of Basil Staghare. "Steady in the ranks there," said the hare quietly. "Keep your eyes peeled for a sign of ambush. No talking now." Chicken Hound was lugged inside as rapidly as possible. Unable to contain their curiosity, the defenders questioned the limp, half-awake fox as they carried him across the abbey grounds. Did your friends the rats do this? I suppose it's sanctuary you want now. Ha, where you be about now, a-layin' in yon road?" Chicken Hound's head flopped to side as he was bore along. He could only say one thing. "The abbot. I must see the abbot. Keep the badger away from me, or you'll learn nothing." Basil dismissed the rear guard and caught up with Ambrose. "I say, you best get the rascal straight to the jolly old abbot. Let him make this statement before he pegs out. Don't you know?" The chicken hound was hauled into the abbey building and laid out on the bench. Abbot Mortimer shuffled up in his nightshirt, rubbing sleep from his eyes. He inspected the fox's wounds with a critical, practiced look and spoke dispassionately. "Well, Fox, what do you want for us? No doubt Clooney, your master, has sent you here to spy." Chicken Hound shook his head in a weak denial. "Please, I must have some water." Jess Squirrel picked up a jug of water, but withheld it. "Tell the Father Abbot what you want, sly one," she rasped sternly. The fox reached out feebly for the water jug. Much to the abbot's dismay, Jess still held it at a distance. "Speak first. You'll get water when we get information." The sight of an injured animal distressed the abbot, but he decided wisely to leave matters to Jess. The squirrel knew what she was doing. "Clooney's horde did this to me," croaked the fox. "My mother steal. They killed her. I know of Clooney's new plans. Care for me and I'll tell you all." Clooney's fainted clean away. "Huh, I certainly wouldn't waste good time and medicine on this one," said Jess coolly. Ambrose Spike scratched his stomach spectrally. "Well, Jess, neither would I. But mayhaps he's got vital information otherwise. Why would he drag himself here in this state?" The abbot inspected the fox's next wound behind the muddied fur. "What Ambrose says makes sense. Why would you lift the wrenched creature up and carry him to the sick bay, please?" Cornflower and Silent Sam watched the fox being carried away. Sam stood in front of her, his dagger drawn to protect them both. She ruffled his pointed ears. "It's all right now, Sam," she said gently. "The fox cannot hurt us. Thank you for protecting me." The little squirrel sheathed his knife and resumed paw-sucking. Winifred and Abbot Mortimer sat by the bed in the sick bay. They kept up their vigil until Chicken Hound regained consciousness. The fox whimpered. He gazed around in the homely little room. "Oh, my neck! What is this place? Where am I?" he groaned. Winifred pushed the patient gently back on the pillows and held a bowl of water to the cracked dry lips. "Please drink this and lie still," she ordered. Chicken Hound slurped and gulped greedily at the water as the abbot enlightened to him. "You are in the infirmary at Redwall Abbey, and as yet I do not the full extent of your injuries. When you have rested, my friend, we will cleanse and dress your wounds." Chicken Hound could hardly believe his ears. "You mean I can stay? But I haven't told you of the news of the plans yet." The abbot wiped driblets of water from his patient's chin. "Listen to me, my son. We would not turn you away from our gates unless you were an enemy and that meant to harm us. All creatures are cared for at Redwall Abbey, and it is my task to care for the sick and injured. You are my responsibility. Whether or not you choose to give information is a matter that your own heart must deal with. Meanwhile, you will receive our hospitality and sanctuary until you are fully recovered." Chicken Hound lay thinking about what the kindly old mouse had said. Suddenly he blurted out, "The battering ram is only a decoy. Clooney means to use it as a diversion so that he can tunnel underneath your abbey walls. I don't know exactly where he plans to start digging, but I know that he will come from you under the ground." The abbot shook his head reprovingly as Winifred lowered the lamp flame and drew the curtains. "Clooney is surely a spawn of darkness. He will stop at nothing, my son. Now I realize this, and I believe that you tell me is true. But why did you crawl all the way to Redwall with this information, almost at the cost of your life?" Chicken Hound did the best look sorrowful and outraged as he lied. "Because they killed old Selah, sir. She was my mother. I will not rest until the justice is done to her murderers." The abbot patted the young fox's paw. "Thank you for entrusting your confidence in us, young one. Close your eyes now and try to get some rest." When the abbot had departed, Chickenhound snuggled his filthy body against the clean white sheets. He felt a little better already, well enough to have a quiet snigger. There was no fool like an old fool. This mouse was as stupid as Sheila had been. Let the mice fight the rats and the rats fight the mice. What did he care? Redwall must be a veritable treasure house to a clever young fox.